Good evening from the garden and welcome to another harvest video. This week I got a request on Instagram to do a harvest video, and I thought it was a good idea because it's been quite some time. I think the last harvest video this year that we did was in April, and of course what we're harvesting now is completely different from what we were harvesting back then. It's the 24th of June, that means we're just past the longest day, and the longest day for us is the signal to stop harvesting some perennial crops and give them the chance to recuperate and gain strength for next year. And that's so we just finished harvesting rhubarb and asparagus, but there's a lot that is just beginning to ripen, especially different kinds of berries. And we're in the middle of our first heat wave, and the heat that we're currently having, the warm sunny weather that we're having, is really speeding up the ripening of fruits. I just had a look at the peach over here, and the last time I was here it was completely green. Now it's already showing some color. Not quite ripe yet, but it will be ripe shortly, I'm sure. But now let's have a look at the fruits that are already ripe and that we are currently harvesting. Over here is our little raspberry patch. We have two varieties of raspberries. This is actually an autumn fruiting variety called HimboTop. So the main harvest from these canes that are now growing will be in autumn. But there is a small harvest at this point in the year from the canes, from last year's canes. And behind we have another variety, which is a summer fruiting variety, but it was only planted last year, so we'll have to wait for a substantial harvest still. But these we can pick, and they're super delicious. Here's one fruit that I wanted to show you, but that you can't see because the birds took care of it. This is our cherry tree. The variety is called Kordia. It's a delicious variety that, just like me, comes from Czechoslovakia. That's where I was born. And the tree was full of cherries this year. Fortunately, we harvested most of them on Friday, and I just left a few fruits on the lower branches that I was planning to show you. But now that we came to the garden, there's not a fruit left, so I'm very happy that we got something to harvest, but sorry that I can't show you. Hopefully next year our timing will be better. This is our summer fruiting raspberry, variety called Sannibelle, but this one was only planted last year, and that means that we're only having a very small harvest on the canes that were already there last year when we planted it. These canes, which are growing beautifully, will give us harvest next year, and we should give them support as soon as possible. Raspberries are delicious but quite well-known fruit, and now I want to show you something, an edible that probably very few of you ever tasted. The tree that I'm standing next to is called snowbell tree because of its beautiful blossom, which is indeed reminiscent of, it looks like little white bells. And it's sometimes planted because of the beauty of the blossom. It's sometimes planted as an ornamental plant, and few people know that you can also eat the fruits. It is a very easy, low maintenance tree, and that's also the reason that we kind of forget it, which is not a good thing when it comes to the harvest, because last year I only remember to taste the fruits a little later in the season, and by then they were tough and not really good anymore. But this year I remembered, and when you harvest them early, they are very crunchy and they taste pleasantly cucumber-like. And then there's our pergola that we're growing many different climates against, such as these grapes, which, as you can see, have flowered and are only just beginning to form the berries, the fruits. But there are also berries that are already fruiting and ready to harvest. So let's have a look at those. Part of the pergola is in part shade behind a very large hazelnut tree, and this is the part of the pergola where we're growing hybrid berries. Those are crosses between different kinds of raspberries and blackberries, sometimes then again crossed with those hybrids. One of them here, the one that is the ripest, is tayberry. It's also one of the oldest of these hybrids. Those hybrid berries are larger than either raspberries or blackberries. Can you see the difference in size compared to raspberry? And when they are ripe, they are pretty good to eat straight from the bush, but they're also really good for making different kinds of preserves. All those hybrid berries, we have also different kinds like boysenberry and logan, are very well suited to growing up a construction like a pergola because their canes are very, very long. You can see them going all the way to the other side. They can be 5 to 6 meters long. This is the loganberry, which is ripening a little later, a little after the tayberry, but that could also be because of the spot that it's in. It is more shaded, which you would not think now because it's getting a little evening sun, but otherwise this is a more shady spot than the tayberry. And that's because loganberries can fruit even without direct sunlight as long as they get adequate indirect light. We also grow 2 varieties of black raspberries here, and as you can see, those are not ripe yet. And again, this is due to the spot that they're growing, because we have one plant at home which is in full sun, and that one is already ripening beautifully. I will show you at the end of the video. June is also the month when our gooseberries start ripening. This is a thornless, mostly thornless variety called Captivator, and well, they're not quite ripe yet. Some people like them when they're still quite sour. I don't. I prefer to wait till they're a bit more ripe, so I will not pick these yet. Here are some other berries that are already ripening, and those are black currants. We have several bushes interplanted with our apple trees over here, and most of the bushes that we have are unknown variety. Those are bushes that we got many years ago from friends, and I must say that were I to do it again, I would choose named varieties over free plants in this case, because I like to get to know more different varieties. One variety that we bought ourselves is black marble, which is over here. And I only planted it last year. It's a variety bred by Nursery Lubera, and it was mentioned in the video that I filmed last year with Marcus Cobbold, the breeder and owner of Lubera. And probably you would have guessed the reason it's called black marble is because of the size of the fruits. So look at that, look at the difference. This is black marble and this is a regular black currant. The black marble black currant is almost as large and as these berries. This is Josta, a cross between gooseberry and black currant. They were first bred in Germany, selected also for disease resistance, so they're mostly mildew resistant. Very good property in berries, and their taste is something between a gooseberry and black currant. And as you can see, they're much larger than regular. They're smaller than gooseberries, but larger than regular black currants. Over here we also have some red currants, and again this is a bush that a free plant, so we don't know what variety it is, and I am adding some named varieties to the garden now, but it's nice to have some fruiting in the meantime. Unfortunately, the red ones are especially attractive for birds. The last berry that I want to show you is this white currant. And often you will hear the advice to plant white currants because birds would not eat them. Unfortunately, that's not been my experience. I don't know whether our birds are smarter, but they have figured out that you can that those are actually already sweet, even when they are not red. White currants are sweeter than red currants mostly, and usually most varieties. There are also some quite good red currant varieties, which I would like to add more of to the garden. In the meantime, the white and pink varieties are the best for fresh eating. So that was a look at what we're harvesting here in our little food forest. But I promised you I would show you the black raspberries that we have in our home garden. So let's head over there. By ways of movie magic, we're now in our backyard, and this is the black raspberry bush just opposite our back door. As you can see, the fruits are beautifully ripe. It seems that this year we had the perfect combination of first rain and then a lot of sunshine and heat. They're beautiful, large and delicious. I told my son that he can have some for his dessert with yogurt tonight, so I'll pick a few for him. I hope you enjoyed this harvest video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon. Happy gardening!